he wants this movie to be taken seriously like a psychological thriller.
Right.
And yet is making PG level Nickelodeon schlock
Absolutely,
kind of thing.
yeah.
Like Hannah Montana. Hello, and welcome to The Talkies, where three filmmakers are talking about movies, and I'm Kenny.
I am D.
I'm Taylor.
Yes, that's right. And really what we're going to get into today is what makes M. Night Shyamalan tick? Does he still care? Does he still actually have heart and passion for making movies? I'm starting to question it. But before we get into that, if you like what we do here on The Talkies, hop on over to Patreon where we have exclusive episodes. Be sure to check us out over there on Patreon.
Hurry, come on.
Wait. I gotta tie my shoe.
No dad jokes, this is serious. Come on.
I'm sorry.
This is the latest from...
And greatest.
Nope.
The latest and worst.
Yeah, anyone who's been a fan of us for a while would know that we have kind of a weird fascination with Mr. Shyamalan.
What is it that goes wrong in some of these films?
Somebody with his ability and his talent to have tumbled as far as he did is kind of sad.
M. Night Shyamalan's work is just very bipolar.
He's an enigma. He's a mystery.
He's not good.
It's so weird. It's perplexing, though.
It's super.
It's not just that he's not good. Like, if it was just that, I wouldn't care. Like,
He's bad in a huge way.
Yeah.
I gotta go to the bathroom.
Okay, Dad.
Script writing.
Oh, fuck.
God.
I hope we didn't have to go here.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping we just avoid this altogether, you know?
It's kind of awkward.
It's very awkward.
Yeah.
This was like one of the worst written movies I think I've ever seen in my life.
And not only in just
Yeah,
dialogue.
it's bad.
Yeah.
Actual story structure.
Like action. Like the actions people
action.
take and
Yeah.
dialogue and story structure.
Yeah. Like I could see from a script writing point of view where someone's like it kept reminding me of an indie filmmaker who goes, oh, you know what I want to make is I want to make this. Now, how do I get that to happen? And then they write backwards. And
exactly.
Yeah. And everything motivates that, except the motivations don't work.
Yeah, it's just he works backwards no matter what. And it's like the first thing he thought of that could be even remotely plausible. He was like, yeah, that'll work.
Right.
In getting him to the end he has in mind.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I in my screenwriting class, they taught me to not rely on coincidences.
Right.
But
Well, and you
he
can have
almost
them.
fully relied, like it was coincidence after coincidence that kept the character
Every single time.
afloat and kept him from not being caught because he happened to grab the apron that happened to have the wallet in it, that happened to have the card in
when he
it.
couldn't come up with coincidences anymore, he reverted to just magic.
Yeah, quite
Like,
literally.
you
yeah.
don't see what happens on screen.
Right.
He's just not in the car anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just,
There's one shot.
now he's in the house.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, what?
Yeah, they. Oh boy. Oh my God.
Uh-oh.
I
Speechless
wanted...
Taylor. Is it Josh Hartnett? Is that
Yes.
his name? When his character first appeared on screen, which was driving the car, his performance.
We're not going to break any laws, Riley. Get there when you want to get.
Oh, God. Already?
We all immediately laughed, right? And I was thinking, oh wow, there's that M. Night Shyamalan. But then I was like, holy shit! Like all of his other movies have had this level of weird ass dialogue, not wooden, not stilted.
The pacing is always a little bit off for them, and it feels a little stilted.
Weird, unnatural.
Unnatural is the word.
Best
Unrealistic.
example being The Happening.
Yeah. And The Happening it's funny because
Campy.
Yeah. He keeps trying to do. I want to say he keeps trying to do, because it was his last few movies too. He keeps trying to do this B horror aesthetic, and I don't think it works out because he's doing always the B horror vibe with a production. It feels campy without being campy.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Well, me and Kenny were talking about that, how I was saying that I think Shyamalan should just straight up make a comedy film.
Absolutely.
Because and it's weird to me that he hasn't outright done that yet. It's weird with this movie because the tone that takes itself seriously and not at the same time.
Right.
I don't know. Should we be afraid of the butcher, or should we be laughing at the butcher?
Right.
Is it funny that that guy, that concession stand merch guy, had that interaction with him?
Right.
Or is that scary?
Right. That
Does it not matter?
That exactly. You're hitting the nail on the head. So I was thinking of Beau is Afraid. Ari Aster has that weird comedy horror thing in his movies, but the whole movie has a straightforward tone, right?
Yeah.
And
like
even,
a deadpan, yeah.
Right. Even if Beau is Afraid is a nightmare comedy, right? Is what he called it. And every time, like, you're laughing, but you're laughing because it's dark humor.
Sure.
This is like the most innocent type of humor, just Nickelodeon type of humor.
Yeah.
But with a
like
movie,
PG rated.
Yeah. But with it like a
Nickelodeon's the right comparison.
Yeah.
He does feel that way.
Yeah, the guy that worked at the souvenir stand
that
ended up giving him all of the information.
Right.
Was right out of a Nickelodeon TV movie.
Right. And it's like, for some reason, it felt like he was still being like, oh, this is scary though, right? This is a scary thing that's happening. Like, we kept coming to those shots where his face there was a half of his
the
face.
American Psycho shot.
Yeah.
They're like 5 times.
Yeah, and it's like, you can tell there's edits in here and there's shots in here that are made you to take it seriously. Where he's seen the woman in the bathroom. He saw her in the bathroom and then she wasn't there.
He wants this movie to be taken seriously like a psychological thriller.
Right.
And yet is making a fucking PG level Nickelodeon schlock kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like Hannah Montana.
Right.
Like his daughter's character in this might as well have been Hannah Montana.
They might as well have gone to a Hannah Montana concert is what it felt like, yeah.
And Hannah Montana ends up wrapped up in the murder mystery.
Right.
That's what this feels like.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily that you can't mix those tones.
You
can.
Yeah.
But it's confusing in this, the way Shyamalan directs it is confusing.
Yeah, no, and I felt the same way in Old and Knock at the Cabin, which are also not comedies, but have weird ass jokes in them.
It's true that Knock at the Cabin got so weird that you wanted to laugh. Like you're like, oh, I feel like this actually should be funny.
Right.
But it's not quite giving me permission to laugh here.
Right.
Like it's actually still serious, but this shouldn't be normal. This should be funny.
Wait, okay, we're gonna count down from 5 together. And we're not gonna yell anymore, okay? When? 5, 4. Okay, let's try this again. When? Take a deep breath.
Yeah, and it's funny when he goes for comedy, like in The Happening, like he's trying to make a funny horror. It comes off more as horror as it does comedy. There was that whole slow motion sequence with the shotgun coming out of the window to blast off the one person's head, right?
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember that shot happening and it being dramatic, right? It played off as dramatic. At least to me it did.
Oh, it definitely does.
Yeah. But I'm like, looking back on it, I'm wondering, he probably meant that to be kind of funny, right? A shotgun coming out of nowhere.
I couldn't tell you.
Exactly.
And that's the problem,
exactly
right?
it. That's the problem. Yeah.
The freaking nut job that goes around chopping people up. The feds heard that he's gonna be here today.
I almost was ready to give room for redemption in the film when the souvenir guy takes him into the back, which again was another like just a complete absurdity. Like the level of absurdity of every step in this movie was
like actually insane.
This movie really stressed you to suspend disbelief. This guy apparently knows they're in the middle of a sting operation to catch a murderer, and he's like, I'll just take some rando with me to the back.
Right.
At the guy's suggestion.
Yeah,
he's like, I'll walk with you.
Oh, sure.
Sure.
And I'll tell you my secret password and all
and
that.
here's the secret password.
But anyways, when they're back there, he gives the butcher a razor blade.
Oh, he has the razor blade. This is stupid.
This is so bad.
Right.
And he holds it. And then you actually even made the comment because he gives it back to him without killing him.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, there's this subversion moment, right? We were all thought he would have done it.
Yeah.
You know. But I'm like, that would have been at least something
Right.
to finally be like, oh, okay, now I'm feeling the real stakes here.
Yeah,
This
some
guy
stakes,
is
yeah.
a psycho murderer.
Right.
And now he's leaving a trail of blood, and everywhere he goes, there's going to be another body left behind.
Right.
And getting out of this place without being caught is going to be fucking psycho, right?
Yeah.
But no, he doesn't do that. We're supposed to believe this guy's the scariest murderer like ever, and we don't even see him.
Yeah,
harm
all his crimes happened
anyone.
already.
He doesn't
Right.
harm anyone in the movie.
They happened off screen. Yeah.
All of them.
All of them, yeah.
Like all of the character development we have for Hartnett's character just shows that he's a good dad.
Yeah.
That's the development. The first act of the movie just develops.
Well-
Hartnett's a good dad who's nervous around cops.
Well, you can
And
be
who's not?
You can be a good dad and you can be a good serial killer.
You could.
See, there's
But
a funny.
They didn't develop good serial killer. They
No.
didn't show me that at all.
There's a funny movie in here. There's a funny horror movie in here, I think. Like, the idea is really funny. To have a serial killer be a really good dad and, like, play the dichotomy of these two
That
sides.
is interesting.
Yeah.
But this movie is not about that.
Well, we've seen,
What was this about?
we've seen
This movie is not
Dexter.
about anything.
I mean, there's Dexter, there's Barry.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Where you can
Okay,
make,
that's
Yeah.
good.
You
Yeah.
can make those the characters who are
Right.
psychos, and you connect to them.
Yeah.
We don't connect to anyone in this movie.
Yeah.
And the movie keeps changing its mind as to who we should be connected to. That was the frustrating thing, is that, like, at one point in the movie, they're like, this movie's about Josh Hartnett. And even though he might be a psycho, this is the guy you should get invested in.
Yeah, totally.
And you're going to feel nervous about getting caught because you're going on that. That's the adventure we're going on. We're going with this character. He's a murderer, but he's our murderer. That's the movie they were trying to tell us it was at one point.
Right.
And then they shift it, and they're like, no. Now our perspective is with the pop singer.
Right.
You know, we're skipping. Now we're with her and we're against Hartnett. And then in like the most rando sequence of the movie, we hop to his wife, who we haven't even known in the whole movie. And all of a sudden we're supposed to be really
Right.
having empathy with her.
Yeah.
You don't get it, Kenny. Her husband is a serial killer.
Oh,
You don't empathize with that?
now I get it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
empathize.
So it's like, but in that scene where she feeds him the pie,
Yeah.
right? I was thinking, I'm like, this might have been a powerful scene if the whole movie had been about this character.
Yeah, sure.
Like if we had been hanging out, like watching this all through the mom's perspective.
So they set up a trap for her. This whole concert, it's a trap.
I think Shyamalan has a hard time letting go of wanting to be taken seriously. I think that's
I agree,
what it is.
yeah.
Yeah. Because I think in order to make any kind of B horror schlock movie, I think the person has to let go of their ego, and this guy has so much ego. I don't know. I was just thinking about Megalopolis. Megalopolis has a lot of ego.
Well, I was actually going to say Megalopolis does have a ton of ego, but he's also not afraid of being really goofy,
True.
and he's not afraid of being unserious.
True.
I work without caring what happens to either of us. So go back to the club.
Yeah.
I think
He's not
there-
afraid of being pretentious.
There's
either.
like a
Right.
In a
difference
way.
between and an overlap of ego and genuity.
Ingenuity.
Genuity, not ingenuity. Genuity.
In what?
Genuity?
Yeah, those two things are kind of different, but they also overlap.
Oh, okay.
Ego and genuity.
Oh, okay.
Right, being completely genuine with your creation and with your art. There's a certain amount of ego that has to come by default with the artistic drive.
Yeah,
Right, it's
yes.
saying like, this is my vision, and I
Yeah.
want to make my vision for me.
Yeah.
Right, that is a type of ego.
That's definitely not selfless.
Right. But then there's the
Selfless.
But then there's the type of ego that blinds you from being able to see certain problems and solve them.
Yeah.
You know.
But what would that be considered in this? Like, not being able to see your movie's tone is, I think that's a weird kind of blind spot. Like,
It's trying to avoid criticism. It's saying, hey, this movie has funny things in it. So if you take it too seriously, then you're missing it. It's like covering your bases.
Right. So
to
he wants
avoid
it
criticisms.
He wants it to be a comedy horror, but you can see it in both lights, but he never wants to be one or the other.
So if you laugh at the serious stuff, he can say, "Oh, there's fun stuff in there."
Right.
Or if you think the serious stuff, funny stuff is serious, then you're like, "Yeah, it's serious too."
Yeah.
I just don't buy that this is genuity.
I think this is perfectly. No.
I don't think it is. No, because what I sense in a movie like Megalopolis, right, is I feel, even though there is a lot of that movie that I'm like, oh God, this is not enjoyable. I never stop seeing the heart of the filmmaker, being like, this is what I got up this morning to do. This is what I care about.
Yeah.
I don't feel that at all from Shyamalan.
I don't either, but I couldn't.
Any of his last 5 movies.
I couldn't quantify that though.
No, I don't know how to quantify it either, other than just that.
This is psychology on a human being. We're doing.
Yeah. We're talking about something that's not actually measurable. He is doing things that feel calculated towards ends that are not expressing his art form. The ends are getting another movie out there.
Yeah.
Highlighting his daughter and her music.
Right.
Salika is a musician. We spend our life following her around, and she's touring, and we get to see my friends are musicians, and that world is there. And I said to Salika, why don't we do something really different? Why don't we make a movie where you write an album that's a diegetic music? And just
that's it.
I think that's it. Honestly, I don't buy it anymore. I really don't feel, and then of course it's just me. Like you said, you can't quantify it. I don't feel any of the genuine excitement and passion for telling a story.
Yeah, I don't either.
But I've seen that in his older movies that were unpopular and badly made. I still went, that's a storyteller who's just obsessed with telling this story, even though no one wants to hear it.
Right.
But
I have a hard time saying that he fell out of love with movies and it just feels bad. I want to be more specific than that.
I think he's been, maybe, I don't know if it's the right word, but maybe alienated from audiences.
Yeah.
From his point of view and from critics and even the studio system to a degree.
I feel like that would make you a stronger filmmaker.
It might make him more of an apathetic filmmaker.
He's making these because he has to.
Yeah,
it's a business model.
His job.
He kind of does seem apathetic.
Oh, Jesus.
That's true. There was a time when I thought that's what was happening with him, that he would become a stronger filmmaker because of that very thing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I was hoping was evolving when we saw The Visit and Split one after another. I was like, oh, the rebirth is upon us. Yeah. He clearly isn't that.
Clearly not, yeah.
Unless this literally is what he loves. But it's hard for me to believe that. It's just so hard for me to believe.
I'm sure he's having fun.
That's the thing, is that I do feel like there's a filmmaker voice behind it. I don't feel apathetic. I don't feel like he's apathetic when I see the movie. I don't feel like he's out of love with it. But I definitely feel like there's something holding him back. It feels like he can't decide on each one, right? Mm-hmm. He can't say this is a horror movie. He can't put out this is a comedy movie. He has to put out something that rides the line. And if you want to believe it's one or the other, you're right.
Yeah.
Right. But not in a fun interpretive way. In a more I'm scared to admit what this is.
I'm shielding myself kind of a way.
That's exactly what this feels like. It feels kind of like, also, what's his name? That guy. Zack Snyder.
Oh yeah, Zack Snyder's back there.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
we have him locked up like in this movie.
Yeah,
like Spencer.
Spencer,
in the basement.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have a carbon monoxide get box,
and I got my own app I made. Made my own app to control my
this guy
my prisoners.
This before.
I almost feel like Zack Snyder was having more fun than Shyamalan had with this movie.
Yeah.
This was maybe the most dead feeling film I've seen from him.
This doesn't feel. It feels like
felt very dead.
No,
it feels like there's a voice in here.
I actually.
What is it?
This is funny.
What voice?
I actually think this movie is better than a lot of the movies he's been making.
I don't know about that.
I think it's better than Old. And
I don't think it's better than Old.
Old was more interesting to me.
Old was
Way more interesting.
super boring.
So was this movie.
Absolutely.
No, this one was not as boring.
God, this was pretty boring.
And Glass was to me, Glass was his "I'm dead inside" movie. that was his "I'm dead inside" movie.
I would agree with that. I'd felt like Glass was.
And Knock in the
Glass
Cabin was
phoned in.
infuriating.
Knock in the Cabin was really frustrating.
I had fun with this movie for about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Where I was like, "Oh, this is kind of fun." I was
So
like,
that's why it's
like this is
ahead of
kind of
those others?
schlocky, yeah.
Because you didn't have any fun in the other.
No. And I think what's missing from his newer movies is a message.
Yeah.
Like there's no
theme.
Yeah. What is this movie? Like we were talking, what is this movie about?
Yeah. What's it trying to say?
It's a situation.
Right.
It's a situation movie.
No, yeah, there's literally nothing. But I don't think any of his movies, the last few, well, I don't know.
No,
actually.
yeah, he hasn't in a while.
Well, Old
been
has a
message
theme.
shows. Yeah, a little bit.
It's almost
more so,
obnoxious.
yeah.
Old people suck.
Yeah, it's like
Don't get old.
Don't
fear of death and decay.
Quit while you're ahead.
And there's a theme. It's like on the nose a little bit too hard, honestly.
Yeah, I know this one probably doesn't have anything. I mean, like you said, it's a situation. It really reminds me of The Happening.
Yes.
For that same reason.
This felt more like The Happening than any other film.
Maybe that's why I liked it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Except I've always said The Happening was the worst of his movies.
I don't feel that way at all anymore. The Happening is way better than a lot of his newer movies.
What? No.
Avatar: The Last Airbender, and
that is his worst.
I often just don't include that in his film.
I know, yeah. There's this big budget corporate Hollywood era,
right?
That aren't even really Shyamalan movies, and it's After Earth and The Last Airbender.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, those ones feel apathetic.
That one, he was like, I can make a shitload of money if I do this.
That's exactly
He
what I feel.
didn't even take the time to learn what that show was about.
No, that's the point, right?
He doesn't even know how to say the characters' names and
No, he was
stuff.
being more truthful, man. That's how you would pronounce it if it was real life.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, that feels apathetic. That's when he's signing on and he's just like, yeah, I'm a name behind this production. But like shit like this, there's something else there.
It's supposed to, I mean,
that's not apathy.
But it comes from him, right? He wrote it. He chose to make this movie.
Yeah.
No, this did not come, it was not thrust upon him.
Right.
He chose to make this movie.
Right.
And I don't see any reason why he would choose to make the movie. Like, there's nothing there that says, I see what you're trying to do here. You had something to say.
I think
you had
Yeah.
something that matters. There's nothing.
Yeah, Shyamalan has nothing to say with this movie.
Right. Well, I don't think he has anything to say with most of his movies, but I think what this is, being that it was called Trap and being that he put the quote-unquote twist in the trailer, is I think it's that he likes playing with audiences' minds and he likes to think of himself as Hitchcock.
Yeah.
And he likes to think that, hey, what we're going to do here is a game. This is a puzzle game. And I'm going to put this on screen. And there was one shot that made me go, oh, okay, I understand what your mentality behind this movie was. And it was the razor blade shot, right? When he picked, do you remember that the extreme close-up of the razor blade?
Yes.
And I'm just like, how, that was the most indie filmmaker, most student filmmaker shot I'd ever seen him ever. Where this comes up, it's an extreme close-up of something we already knew. We were already imagining in our minds. And I'm like, why is the director putting something that obvious into that much of a important spot in the frame, if not to try to play with our minds, saying, you really think this is going to happen, isn't it? Like, that made me think, this is a puzzle movie. This is the thing that he's trying to play with our minds. I think that's what he wants to do with this movie.
But he didn't do it.
No. That's what I'm saying. It's one of the worst written movies I've ever witnessed.
Most films are made by gathering a lot of wonderful
footage. And then the editor and the filmmaker puts together the best version of that scene. That's not what I do.
I think you can divide Shyamalan's filmography into three distinct sections. He has the canon, the original canon, which is Sixth Sense through The Happening. And then he has his sellout era of The Last Airbender and After Earth. And then he has his despair era, which we're currently in, which is The Visit to Now. And like The Visit and Split are like his last gasps of air as he's like drowning.
Yeah, and I would say the last three in particular, being Trap, Knock at the Cabin, and Old, are the least interesting movies he's ever made. The least spirit.
I agree.
The least
I would
energy,
totally agree. Yeah.
I agree.
The least passion.
Well,
and yeah, you could lump Glass. Glass feels like an outlier in that group because of the budget.
Yeah.
But really, you're right. It's at least 4 movies in a row that just don't feel like they're coming from someone who has something to say at all.
Yeah.
It's more like especially those last 3, all of them are, wouldn't this be an interesting situation? You come up with that core of the interesting situation, like, what if you were bound to a wheelchair and you witnessed a murder in the apartment building across the way with your binoculars?
But there's theme in it, right?
And then you have theme, and you have character, and you have performance, right? And you have
that
nuance.
all takes writing chops,
right? And that's what a good movie makes, right? Is all those pieces,
right?
Those last 3 movies from Shyamalan, including Trap, are all just. Wouldn't that be an interesting idea?
Yeah, it's lacking.
What if we just had this situation?
Yeah,
and that's it.
My daughter Salika is a musician, and we were talking about, could we combine the idea of a concert and an idea of a thriller together, and where you feel, wow, I'm overwhelmed by the music, but I'm also terrified from the thriller.
My scriptwriting teacher, Matt, I forgot his last name. He had said that if you have coincidences in your script, they should only be to knock your characters back from their goal, but never to have them
not to progress it. Yeah, right. And every way he progresses his goal is through a coincidence.
It's through a coincidence.
Every single thing.
And we both sat, and then I thought of the idea of it being contained in an arena, and I said, well, so the characters go to a concert. Okay, what happens?
Felt like they wanted us to believe that he was just really clever and really good.
That's how I felt too. Yeah. It's like, what?
Right, so
like,
that's what I mean.
Anyone could make that up.
Right. Like, lucky.
That's what I mean by writing that line between, I'm not so sure if he wanted it to be funny or not, because I'm like, oh, there's so many coincidences. Obviously, this is funny. Okay, maybe not. It's just that over.
You know, a movie kept coming to my mind.
Jason Bourne.
Not that. Definitely not that. It actually was Silence of the Lambs. I kept thinking...
This reminded me of Silence of the Lambs.
This reminded me of The Godfather.
I kept thinking of the sequence where Hannibal Lecter is in a prisoner transfer.
Yeah.
And he outthinks everyone.
Yeah.
And because in that whole movie, it's just being taken for granted that he's a psycho, amazing murderer, like the most dangerous person ever. But you just take it for granted. We have no evidence that that's true.
Yeah.
It's just they keep telling us that's so. And then we get to the scene where they do this whole prisoner transfer thing, and you see his mastermind abilities actually unfold in front of you, and he takes advantage of all kinds of little things, and it leads to an escape, and he bites some fucker's nose off and wears a skin mask, and it's like psycho and impressive. And I kept feeling like that's what Shyamalan wanted us to see in this character.
Totally.
Like, oh my God, look at how he's just playing the game and winning. He's so smart and scary and dangerous. And I'm like, yeah, but you know what? Hannibal Lecter bit the guy's nose off.
Right, yeah.
And Hannibal Lecter put on a skin mask, you know? Like, where you're not giving us anything other than him just, like, grabbing this, and I grab that. And, like, they tried to make this huge deal out of the moment he put those bottles of whatever into the boiling oil.
He put bottles of oil in the oil.
Yeah, and apparently it blows up, and it was like, oh shit, what that didn't actually do anything. Oh, he's still in the same situation he was before. The only thing that happened to Josh Hartnett's character in the whole concert sequence, I don't even remember. I have no clue. He was dad.
His name is Trap.
The only
John Trap.
The only event that mattered in the whole thing was him meeting the dude played by Shyamalan and telling him, oh yeah, my daughter has chemo.
I totally forgot that part even happened.
Everything up to that, he did all this shit where he's sneaking around and stealing badges and blowing shit. None of it did anything. Yeah. Nothing changed. He was in the same situation. Yeah. The story didn't move at all. And all this like weird drama with the friend's mom and all that shit. None of it did anything. The only thing that mattered was he talked to the Shyamalan person who says, oh yeah, I can get your daughter on stage. And that is the one thing that actually moves him forward towards eventually escaping. So we have like a whole first act of nonsense. That just means nothing.
You know what's weird about that is that whole nonsense part is the only part I remember of the movie, and I completely forgot the second half.
Dude, the final act is worth forgetting.
Yeah,
the second half even happened. I totally forgot about because we're talking about the mechanics of the script and everything, and even the name of the movie called Trap is the idea that he's trapped in this area. And then he gets out.
The actual movie should have never left the arena.
And it just goes completely off the rails once they get out of the arena in terms of suspension of disbelief.
Yeah.
Utterly absurd.
Yeah.
What they expect.
And that's what I mean. It's like he starts asking us to believe that this character, this murderer, the butcher, is so good and dangerous and scary and clever, but there's been nothing to earn it. It's just he just shows up in places and can just slide in and out of this and that and outthink the next step of the cops, and just because.
And acting like he has any power over the pop star when he kind of like blackmails the pop star.
That was weird as fuck.
He's like, look, I'll kill this person right now if you don't get me out of here. And she's like, okay. How is there no line of communication at any point with her people?
Yeah.
To like,
yeah,
it wouldn't work.
That's exactly what I mean by that.
There were so many of those too.
Yeah.
So many of those. This would not work, and this makes no sense.
Right.
And why don't you just ask that guy for help?
No. Yeah. The whole thing.
That
feels
SWAT officer next to you holding a machine gun.
Right.
Yeah.
Just be like, this guy's the murderer. Just say that.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. Smack the phone.
Yeah. And even if, dude, she doesn't know this Spencer guy. And she doesn't even know he's real.
Yeah.
She doesn't even know if this
like
is
you're
real.
Just some weirdo showing me a random
and
video.
She's like, yeah, I'll just like get in a car with you and drive, you know.
She starts masterminding her own.
And then she fucking steals his phone and locks herself in the bathroom, and it's like, I'm going to go live on TikTok.
She goes live.
She goes live
like,
instead
please
of...
help me, guys. We got to go save this guy. Does anybody know?
Like, no. You have a phone.
Call the police.
911. It's so easy. 911. He can't gas Spencer. You have his phone.
Oh, God. Oh, no.
It's really bad. It's a really bad movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what kind of pizza would it be?
Sorry, guys. Sorry.
How you all doing? You having fun?
Please, let's get a pizza on this.
You know what's weird is I want to give it the content award.
It crossed my mind.
Oh, shit.
I want to, but I don't think it makes any sense in the way that we created the content award.
I agree. Yeah. I was going to say, I don't hate this movie enough.
Yeah.
And I also don't, not respect it. Like, I respect it enough.
Yeah.
Just
I respect it enough. To,
Yeah.
I guess what I would say is I'm still giving Shyamalan the benefit of the doubt that he's not just making content.
Even so, even if he was, I'd still say it's a 1 out of 10 versus a 0 out of 10, right?
Ooh.
That's what I would say.
We are.
I mean, it's
fucking nailing a huge ass nail into the coffin of Zack Snyder.
Zack Snyder, yeah.
That's like the worst. That's like the worst. Like if we could have made it any worse for Zack Snyder, now we're like, oh my god,
It's worse than Trap, yeah.
oh that's terrible.
I mean, I'm like this close to wanting to give it.
I am too. Yeah, no, it definitely crossed my mind. I'm like, I think
Shyamalan's about to be watching out for the next movie he makes.
I really think about it. I was so bored and frustrated watching Rebel Moon.
Yeah,
exactly.
Way more
Yeah.
than I was watching this film.
Yeah, when we said
That's
content,
exactly it.
we're saying completely void of any interest whatsoever, and this had something.
I laughed at this like stupidity of this movie.
Yeah.
I did not really laugh at Rebel Moon. I was more like offended.
No, offended.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Like I took offense.
Right.
Like, I had a decently fun time watching Trap.
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
Not
we're
in
like-
the ways.
Not for how
that-
he intended.
Yeah, not in the way
or-
Shyamalan wants
No.
you to have fun.
No.
But
And not to say that it's in any means a good movie.
No. Yeah, and
But-
you know, for Rebel Moon parts 1 and 2, I never laughed at it
No.
because it was frustrating.
Yeah, it wasn't the Rebel Moon
It was
1
a
and 2.
joyless
Yeah,
experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like stupid enough to laugh at it.
Right.
completely devoid of any joy.
Yeah.
Awful.
Okay. So no content award.
For Trap, I'm smiling. I'm like, and for Rebel Moon, I'm just
Not wrong. Not wrong.
All right. Yeah. If this movie was a pizza, what kind of pizza would it be?
oh fuck.
I can go, I guess.
Yeah. This is
Yeah.
gonna be crazy.
I have one too. I have one right.
You?
Yeah. Okay, so I would say like if you got the pizza from Winco.
Oh shit! I know what you're talking
You know, like
about.
Winco pizza?
Yeah,
I just had Winco pizza not too long ago.
I mean, it's not bad, right? You know,
It's pretty bad.
It's bad. It's cheap.
but it's. I mean, it's like fill your tummy.
Yeah.
You need like a $5 pizza.
Sure.
You know, it'll do the trick.
Yeah.
I think it's a little better than Little Caesars
Sure.
pizza.
Sure.
No.
Okay, I'd say.
I agree. I agree with
No,
you.
I would say it's
I
not a
agree.
hard no. I'd say there's a debate available.
Oh, I'd say hard
You
no.
can have a debate. All right.
For this case, we'll say yes.
I'm sticking
this
with
case.
I'm sticking with Winco pizza.
Okay.
All right, but it's not just Winco pizza. It's a Winco pizza that you brought home, and then the family gets home, and then you open it up and you divide it out and you start eating it, and you're just munching along, going, oh yeah, pizza, it's okay, and then you notice that your whole family has all stopped eating, and they're all like looking weird at their pizza, and then your wife is like, I taste mold. And you're like, you've already, your slice is gone.
Oh,
It's already
gosh.
in your stomach, you know? And I'm like, what? And she's like, no, I taste mold. And all the other kids are like, yeah, Dad, this is bad. And then you look at the rest of the pizza and you're like, oh shit, there is mold like all over this. And
No, it's blue cheese.
and I was just so hungry, I just ate it anyway. And you're like, oh, now I feel really gross. And so it's a moldy Winco pizza that you ate, not realizing it was moldy, and now you feel sick.
That sounds disgusting.
Yeah.
You know what's weird is that I had the same idea as this moldy pizza.
All right. Yeah.
The idea did cross my mind as well. No joke.
Wow.
Seriously. Yeah.
So that was a good one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I have mine yet. You have one?
Yeah, I got one. You go to Six Flags and you order.
It's a bad start. Really bad start. You already have gonorrhea. You need a tetanus shot before you eat this pizza, dude. All right, go on.
You go to Six Flags and you get there and you're starving. It's the first thing you do. You get in. You're like, no, I'm fucking starving. I'm gonna before I ride any rides, because I've got an empty stomach, I'm gonna go check out the food court, see what kind of fun fun, because we're at a theme park. We're at Six Flags. We're gonna have fun, so we're gonna go have a fun pizza at Six Flags, and we go to the pizza wherever they're offering pizza, and it's just wherever they, I'm sure their supplier of pizza is like Cisco Food Company or something like that, Food Corporation. Yeah. It gets delivered in like a truck. It's frozen, and they heat it up, and it's just been under the hot lamp, so it's just this. And there's only one cheese pizza slice left. It's just one slice. That's your only option. You don't even get a choice. It's just the only thing there. And it's been under the hot lamp for a long time. And you're in this really fun environment. So I'm like, but you're like, oh, I'm hungry. So you don't know how long it's been there. Pick it up. And the hot lamp's not very hot. So it's actually pretty cold. It's cold. You eat it. It's not good. It's stale. The cheese is kind of like one blanket, one whole blanket. We're not sure if there's sauce or if the dough was dyed red to look like sauce.
It was dyed.
You're not sure if there's really sauce on there or not.
Red dough.
Yeah. And you eat it and you're like, that wasn't really satisfying, but I'm not hungry anymore. And then you go on a roller coaster, and then you throw up on the roller coaster.
Oh,
during the loop-de-loop, you throw up, projectile throw up.
Yes, you throw it up at the top, and then it hits you coming back
hits
down.
you, and it hits some of the other people too, so they're all pissed.
And they throw up.
Yeah, and then it's a chain reaction of throwing up. Yeah.
Oh, that's bad. It's really bad.
Yeah, that's trap.
That's trap.
Yeah,
that's disgusting.
The content award is worse than that.
Yeah.
Oh man, this is difficult. Okay, I'm gonna go with my original idea, which I apologize, Kenny. It's like yours.
You know what? I forgive you.
So
I don't.
Okay, I'm sorry, Taylor. I'm very sorry.
You can have a moldy pizza too.
Okay, so this pizza, you don't see. So you're at a friend's house, right? You're a teenage. You're preteen. You're a preteen. you're at a friend's house, and you're having a sleepover. And the pizza comes, and then the mom takes it and says, "Boys, pizza," right? And she puts it on the counter, and you guys forget about it and whatever. And then so hours pass by. It's like really late at night. All the lights are off, and you're suddenly really hungry because you didn't have any pizza. All your friends are asleep, and you go and you tiptoe into the kitchen to grab your slice of pizza, and you can't see it, but you grab one, and you know it's pizza, and you go to eat it, and you're just like, I wonder what kind of pizza she got. It tastes interesting. It's kind of good, and you keep eating it. You keep eating it, and you're like, I don't know what it is, but it's kind of good. And you keep eating it.
We're losing subs. We're losing subs right now.
So you finish a slice of pizza, and you're like, I'm so curious as to what that is. You're like, because I can't really make up my mind as to what that flavor was.
Blue cheese, maybe.
Yeah. So you go to flick on your phone light, just to look at the sliced pizza, and it's just mold. The whole thing's it's like furry. The whole pizza's furry and shit.
That is so bad. That's worse than the motor oil pizzas we've done.
That is revolting.
Yeah, but now you know what you were tasting was not good.
Yeah, and you know what? Trap is that bad.
It was that bad.
It is that bad.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
It's about that bad. Yes.
Yeah, it's a fucking bad movie.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, hey,
we did it.
We did it.
We did it. You've been watching or listening to the Talkies from Karman Studios, and hey, see you next time.
Hey.
Peace.
Hey.